Alright guys, so today I have the PowerPoint finally made and finished, and I'm doing the recording for it so that way you guys can watch over the video and understand what I'm talking about, so that way I don't have to overload the screens with too much information. I'll be using the Mario Brothers, Mario and Luigi here, to help me simplify things and visually show you guys what's going on and what I'm talking about most of the time. In case you have any questions, you can always just drop a comment at the bottom of the video, and yeah, let's just get straight into this. Alright, so first thing first, I figured I need to explain is, what is the stock market? Well, essentially the stock market is it really is truly just a market. It's a place where one person can go to buy equity, and then another person can sell the equity to that person that's buying it, and you can invest to own a part of a company. So Apple, for example, or Microsoft, you can buy a portion of that company and it is yours to own. Once you buy it, you do not have to sell it, and you can now say you are X percentage of the owner of Microsoft. Whoever owns the most shares obviously has the most say in the company. So that's pretty much how the stock market works, and how you can use your money to invest and save for either future endeavors or just to let the money grow. Now, there are a few things that you do need when you are trying to invest in the stock market. The first thing is going to be a broker or a brokerage, and those are essentially different places that can offer you as an individual ways to invest your money. So places like Robinhood, Webull, TD Ameritrade, and even Cash App in the recent years have offered ways of people the ability to invest in the stock market just from their smartphone. It used to be back in the old days, you know, how you would have to have an actual person called a broker. You would call them to place your trades and they would handle that for you. You wouldn't have any direct access to it. They would work on the stock market floor in New York, in the New York Times Trading Square. Not the Trading Square, I can't remember what that place was called, but the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange. So that's where most of the trading is done, and you know, it still occurs on a day-to-day basis, but a lot of trading is actually just done by individuals. For those who are on Wall Street, retail street is what they call it. But let's not get too deep into that. So what do you need to get started? You need a source of income, whether that's a job or a business or commissions or anything you do for a living. You need an income, and then you need an active brokerage account. So you have to sign up through Robinhood or TD Ameritrade. I personally recommend those two, mainly Robinhood for new beginners. So that's what I'm going to be recommending for you guys, and what I'm going to be using to teach you guys about the stock market. And lastly, you need the ability to answer your tax-based questions from your broker. So when you sign up, they'll ask you different things like, are you head of household? Do you have any dependents? Different things like that. They will ask you for your social security number, because this is also a source of income. So the IRS is going to have to take a look at what your earnings are in the stock market. So that's information that's going to be requested in the beginning of your account, as well as every tax year for when you report your tax returns. But we can go over more about the tax-based stuff later in the part of the presentation. And I'll be using Toad here as the main symbol for a broker. Every time you see this guy, he's going to represent a broker, and this coin is obviously going to represent your income. So the next slide, what is the market visualized? So let's say you go to a broker, and your broker has a share of a company that you want to buy. Let's just say our broker is Toad. I was going to call him Todd. Let's call him Todd the Toad. But let's say Toad's pizza here costs $4 for one whole pie. So this entire box of pizza costed Toad $4 for him to get. And then let's say Mario comes along and he wants to buy a simple slice of that pizza and not the entire piece. Obviously Mario isn't rich and doesn't have $4. He doesn't have enough to buy the entire company, but he still believes in this pizza here, and he wants a slice of it. So he'll choose to buy one share off a Toad for $2. So now a slice is gone to Mario, and now Todd has most of his pie remaining, and Mario has $2 worth of that pie. But oh my gosh, I almost forgot her name. Let's say Peach comes along and she wants to buy a slice, so she'll buy the second of the four slices, and now they both have bought $2 worth of pizza, and then he buys one more, so now Mario has $4, Peach has $2, and Toad has $2 left remaining of the pizza with only one slice left. So then lastly, let's say Luigi comes in and he buys the final slice of pizza for $2. Well, now all the pizza is gone, and all the pizza slices have been distributed to the people who wanted to buy it. So Toad now no longer has any slices to sell, and all the shares are gone. And that means that each slice of pizza has been accurately valued at $2 each. So then let's say we have a fourth person come along, and it's Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. wants to buy a slice, but there's no pizza left to buy Toad from at the price of $2. So the only way Bowser Jr. can get a slice of pizza is if he buys it from anyone who already has slices. So seeing that Mario has two slices over here, he wants to buy one from Mario, but Mario doesn't want to sell it to him for $2, so he decides to sell it to him for $3. So because there's none left and no one else is willing to sell him any, Mario is the only person that he can buy it from who is willing to sell it at $3. So that means that the price of all the pieces goes up by $1, and now they are all going to be valued at $3. And as you can see down here, it's been updated to value at $3. And then that's pretty much exactly how the actual stock market works, where the price of a share is valued depending upon how many people want to buy it, who is buying it, and whether or not they like the price that they're buying it for. If they don't like it, then they'll just wait to buy it, and somebody else will come along that's interested. Okay, so the next part is, so what should I invest in? I get this question a lot when I'm teaching new people about the stock market. Most people are just confused about what is a good idea for them to put their money into. So I do have a few recommendations that I'll go over, but in general, there's honestly a wide variety of different companies you can go for. The main thing that you should consider when you're investing is a company that you'll use almost on a daily basis. So think of places like Apple, Starbucks, and Intel. Apple products you see are everywhere, of course, with iPhones, AirPods, and different Apple devices like iPads and laptops. Apple is everywhere. You honestly can't run into a person who has never used an Apple product before. And then you think about Starbucks as well. Most people wake up in the morning to go get a cup of coffee. You will most likely do the same thing as well. Everybody uses Starbucks. And Intel is in all of our computer products. Their chips are everywhere. They have a lot of deals with different governments and things like that. You really can't experience using a PC without having experienced Intel before. So think about companies like that you see on a daily basis. Those are the kind of places that are safe enough for you to invest in, and for you to want to keep some money somewhere that's safe. You also want to consider a company that you'll know that'll be around for the next 10 years. So think of places like Tesla, Facebook, and Nvidia. Tesla is a growing electric car company, and they're going to be innovating the electric car industry. They're the leading innovators on the electric car industry. And Facebook, its competitor was, I can't even think of his name. Oh my gosh. MySpace, that's the one. Okay, so yeah, it's a social media company that started off around the same time as MySpace, and obviously Facebook won out. It's been around for 10 years, and I can see it being around for another 10 years. It keeps buying out other social medias like Instagram. That was a change that occurred. Instagram used to be its own company, but now it's a part of Facebook. And then with Nvidia, that's the same thing that goes along with Intel, except for gaming. A lot of gaming laptops are based off of the graphic cards that Nvidia provides. So if you're into gaming, different things like that, you can go with Nvidia. If you're into hospitality, that's Starbucks. Tech, you got Tesla. Facebook with Meta and their their virtual reality that they're building into. Actually, Facebook isn't called Facebook anymore on the stock market. It's called Meta because the metaverse and their whole Oculus stuff that they're doing. So they're completely changing the look of their entire company. So it's just a lot of different things. But the last thing you want to do is to just buy and forget. So if you can pick a company that you can invest in and just feel comfortable enough to where you say, oh, I forgot that I invested in this company. That was a good company that you invested in. So Coca-Cola, for example, they've been around for so many years. A lot of people from back then bought and invested in it and totally forgot about it, and they now have money from those investments. And even for different investments like that, the ladies out there, you guys got Ulta Beauty, beauty products. There's so many different companies that you can use, that you can invest your money in, that a lot of people use on a daily basis. Okay, so this next slide, what am I investing in? So these are my personal investments that I'm building my long term with. First off, I would like to say that I am using Robinhood and TD Ameritrade. These are my two brokerages. I use the Robinhood for options trading and making daily trades. I'll go over that towards the very end of the PowerPoint. And then I use TD Ameritrade for my long-term investing. So this is where I'm going to be investing and keeping my money for years to come. And the first company that I recommend is NVIDIA. Like I mentioned earlier, they are a chip gaming company. I personally want to invest in them because I'm a gamer. I use the NVIDIA chip right now. That's what I'm actually using to record this video. So it's a very good company that I believe in, and I could see being around for more than 10 years. Next is Shopify. I use Shopify a lot for my entrepreneurship. I'm very into drop shipping and coming up with different stores and ideas, and especially since I'm an artist, Shopify has really made the personal business growth and online business for the art community a very essential incorporation to what we want to do. So I could definitely see me using Shopify on a daily basis in the future, and more so that a lot of people use it as well. One key thing I do want to mention about Shopify is that it is very pandemic proof. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, Shopify had a very big boom in business because a lot of people were forced to stay home. So that meant that a lot of entrepreneurship was used for investing and making money from home. So obviously, if you invest in the companies that allow people to do that, you'll have that kind of safety in your long-term investing. Next is Meta and slash Facebook. They use social media, but I'm looking into investing into them for virtual reality. One of my business goals is to make augmented reality, so I could see that just investing in Meta is something that I believe is obviously going to be around in the future, because I'm going to be building into that future myself. So why wouldn't I want to invest money into a company that's already developing into that? And then we have Asana. Asana is essentially a workforce development service. When you hear of Asana, think of places like Workforce and Salesforce. A lot of these companies experience a boom because of work from home, and I honestly feel like now that we've seen that work from home can work, I feel like a lot of businesses will consider using workforces and work from home setups in the future. So I want to use that, but they also do more than just workforce development. In the earlier years, I have seen them used more so for coding, and because coding is becoming more and more essential in what the job force is looking for. Having a company that can offer that kind of workforce is just a nice another safety net precaution that I want to consider building my long term into. And then we got my baby girl, Affirm. I was going to say Affirm. I was pronouncing her like Asana, but Affirm. Affirm is a finance, payments, and loans company. So I found out about this company when I was working at Best Buy. They essentially allow people to purchase products on a financial loan, on a progressive loan, and you'll pay that back over time. So that way you can essentially buy a lease. It's a rent to lease kind of financial setup. It's an installment plan for essentially whatever you want to buy, and a lot of different websites use Affirm to offer their consumers a way to get products early. So like if your Christmas is coming around the corner and you want to buy a 70-inch TV, but you don't have $2,700 to buy that 70-inch, you can just pay in like $500 as a deposit and then do like 70-month payments and stuff like that. There are different things that Affirm offers different people, and I really like them for that. And I actually used them for repurchasing one of my TVs 2 years ago. Then lastly we have Unity. Unity is a individual game development company. So essentially it's a software that allows people from essentially anywhere in the world, whether you're doing it from home or doing it in a company, to develop games. And a lot of big gaming companies use the Unity software to develop their own gaming companies. I personally think that Unity is going to be really, really useful for me going into augmented reality and virtual reality development, because again, gaming is going to make up a very big part of virtual reality marketplace. So as you can see, I'm really skewed into what my personal preferences are and what I'm doing in my life. That's how you want to build your long-term investments and what companies you're going to be picking in. It has to be companies that you believe in, companies that you know are going to be around for more than 10 years, and companies that you feel are safe enough that you would like to be willing to save your money into. Okay, so the next slide. How much do I need to invest? This is honestly a very gray area kind of question that a lot of people ask, but the main and easiest answer is not a monetary one. It is not $100, it's not $1, it's not 50, it's 10%. 10% of what you make is yours to keep. Always pay yourself first. So it's your money, it's your hard work, your chance to financial freedom. What this means essentially is that whenever you receive your paycheck, take 10% of that paycheck and throw it into your long-term savings. That's all it means. So let's say we have Luigi here, and he's been working hard. He's been working his 9 to 5 for 2 weeks now. He got his paycheck today. He'll take the money that he gets from his paycheck, and that's essentially 5 coins here from his first week, and then 5 coins from his second week. And out of these 10 coins, he needs to just save 1 coin as 10%. So 10% may seem like it's a small amount. It may seem like it's only just 1 coin, but it's different ways that you can picture it really. If you had to visualize your entire lifespan, how much time is 10% of your life? I'm 26 years old, so how much time is 10% of my life for 26 years old? Well, let me actually find that out real quick. Pull out my calculator. 2.6 years. So two and a half years worth of time out of my 26 years is essentially how much that is being asked to be saved. So that's really essentially all that comes down to investing in the stock market. Another way to look at it is to just develop a habit of saving 10% every paycheck that you get. So you guys just heard Muffin shaking in the background. She's such a cute dog. All right, so like I was saying, just saving 10% from your paycheck to your investor, your investment, your brokerage is just going to be very, very useful for you to build your long-term saving. And developing a habit of that 10% is honestly just another way to look at how the 10% works out really well. It takes 36 days for a discipline to become a habit, and that's essentially 10% of the days in a year. There's 365 days in a year, so 36 of those days is 10%. So it works out in so many different ways and different teachings and learnings, but that's always been the tried and true practice. You don't have to do a minimum of 10%. You can always do like 15%. Like let's say your 10% is $50, your 10% is $10. Let's say you want to just add more to get the ball rolling. You can do more, but 10% of your income is the minimum to see a viable long-term growth and financial success. All right, so now let me show you as an example of me saving 10%. So recently I've created a new long-term savings in my TD Ameritrade just this past week. And this is my most recent 10% deposit that I made into my TD Ameritrade. So it's a lot to look at on screen here. Don't worry about it too much. I'm not going to be going over everything you see here. I just wanted to point out a few things. This is the current balance of the account. This right here shows you the initial deposit because it originally was at 0. This was when I opened the account. This was when the deposit hit, and the original amount was for $57.96. So like this is saying here, on January 20th, I made the initial investment. The initial investment was taken from my check that I received from my job. So after taxes, I received $579.60. In order to figure out what was 10% of that, I actually set it up so that way my direct deposit would be taken out automatically for me. So my payroll, my employer would actually set it up for me in my payment elections to have 10% go directly into my brokerage account. So they multiply the entire check's worth after the taxes were taken times the 10%, and then it went down to $57.96. And that's, you can see, that's exactly what was deposited here. So after just one day, you can already see that my investment went up from that $57.96 to $59.28, and that was just with one share of Affirm and one share of Shopify that I bought. You can begin to grow your long-term slow and steadily, but that's really all it is. It's going to be a rinse and repeat process of slowly getting the ball rolling every paycheck, because that's the main way that a lot of people have grown into financial success. Okay, so now let's go over the main parts of using the Robinhood app. So let's go over what it looks like once you're beginning your trading and you're looking to start buying in a company. So we'll be using my favorite company here, Affirm, and we'll be using that for the examples today. So as you can see right here, this shows you the name Affirm as the company name. And then up here is the ticker symbol. A ticker symbol is a four-letter way acronym of finding a company on the stock market. It's normally used to just type the short name of a company so you can make a trade fast if you need to, because some trades are more beneficial if you can get to it fast enough. So you can always find that at the top part here is normally will look like the company that you're investing in, but sometimes the letters can be different. But Affirm is AFRM for the short symbol. And now right here is the share price. This is how much a share costs to buy one share of Affirm at the current time. This green arrow section right here is the value change of how much the share price has gone up or down in the provided window. So in this image right here, this is a 1 week window period. Essentially, the prices of the share of Affirm has gone up 29 cents to 2.1%. So from right here all the way up to over here is how much Affirm has changed. So it doesn't go from the lowest to the top, it goes from the beginning to the end. Today's volume down here just shows you how many shares have been bought. So on a day-to-day basis, the number of shares that are bought can change, but this is how much that the Affirm shares were purchased by somebody in the stock market today. This can be anybody that's an individual like you or me, or it could be companies as well as different billionaires and different things like that. So they can buy millions of shares, hundreds of thousands. They can buy the entire float. It all depends on different situations. But this always just shows you how many were bought today. And then lastly, the trade button. This trade button can either be say trade on it or buy on it. It does depend on a few things, but this essentially is where the trade button would be where you click to buy your shares of Affirm. Okay, so what do the stats represent? So when you scroll down on that page that I was just showing you the price information on the last slide, you'll eventually see this section called stats, and you'll even see the CEO, different things like that. All this information is just provided to you as a basic level of understanding of the company. but these stats also kind of matter sometimes, so you can look at them in case you were curious. I will explain them here. You can't skip over this part of this tutorial. It's not necessarily important for you for your long-term investing, but it can make a difference. So the open. The open is the share price that the shares were valued at the time of the stock market being open. So on today, the share price started at $15.11, but towards the end of the day, it ended at $14.09. So that would be the open, and that would be the end. The high and the low represent how high the price went during the day. So 1605 was the high, and the low was 1394. The 52-week high means essentially how high the price has been over the course of a year, starting from today. So from today back to last year. So that would be January 23rd, 2022. They were at a high of $83.57, and then the lowest point that they were at that time was $8.62. Then we have the volume section. Again, this is also the same thing right here. 20.38 million is also 20 million right here, this number here. I'm not going to say the entire thing, but we already went over what the volume is. The average volume changes based off a 5-day period. So there's 5 trading days in a week, Monday through Friday. This is how many times the shares are bought on average within those 5 days. And then lastly, the most important part, the market cap of the company. So in total, the amount of money that a firm is worth as a company is valued at $4.15 billion. So that is how much it would take for you to buy every single share of a firm to own the entire company. So how is the price of a share determined? Well, it kind of goes back into similar things like I was mentioning with the market cap there. I'll be using a firm again to explain this. You need to find the company's market cap. So like we just stated, the previous price for that was $4.15 billion. The second thing you need to find is the total amount of shares available. The third thing is to divide that market cap by the total shares to receive the price of the share. So let's use the price was $4.15 billion. You can see that number typed out fully here. Then you divide that by the amount of shares. I had to Google this number to find out the exact number of shares, but this was how much they reported last earnings. So you divide these two numbers, and then you get the number 1430, and then you round it down to the nearest penny. And that's how you get the share price of $14.30. And that goes back to the entire thing that I was showing you guys with the pizzas earlier in the PowerPoint with Mario and Toad and Bowser Jr. That based off of how many slices of pizza are available, that'll determine how much it's being valued at and how much it'll cost to get each slice of that pie. Okay, so when is the right time to buy shares? A lot of people are very finicky over when it comes to buying to make sure they get it at a good price. I'm gonna just say that the best time to buy a share of any company was 20 years ago. It is always going to be 20 years ago. That was the best time. The second best time to buy shares of a company is today. And the reason for that is because the right time doesn't really exist. It doesn't matter. If you're really truly investing in a long-term, building a money tree, you just need to stick to an investment cycle of your choosing and just keep repeatedly building that money tree up yourself, because it is your tree that you are planting. It is your path to financial success. So if you get paid weekly, then you need to invest 10% weekly. If you get a check bi-weekly, invest 10% bi-weekly. And if you get paid monthly, then obviously you need to pay that 10% monthly. You need to follow these financial steps to success on the same cycle that you're getting paid. Okay, so next, like I was saying previously, it's about time in the market and not timing the market. Like I was saying, it's not about when you buy, it's about just having experience and been in the market. So you don't need to worry about what you're paying for as long as you believe in that company. If you know that a company is going to be around for 10 years, if you know that that company is going to do well, you're willing to put that money in for whatever price that you find fit. So there's different ways that a brokers can allow you to do that. I'm going to go over the two ways that I've used it to buy a firm. So on January 24th of this year, a firm was trading at $14.09 when I took the screenshot. On the 20th of January, I bought one share of a firm for $12.34 because that's how much it was when I bought it on that day. So as you can see, just over the course of 4 days, the value of the share has gone up by nearly about $2. So it really doesn't matter too much on a day-to-day basis when you buy it, because the value of the company is going to be the same when you're looking to buy things. Now, there's different ways you can look at the different windows, the different time periods. I'll go over these as well here. On a weekly basis, the Affirm share was at a lowest of $12.04. So I could have chosen to have waited instead of buying it at $12.34 to hope that I could have got the $12.04 price again. But I was comfortable with just buying it at this price because I believed in the company. And then 4 days later, it went up to $4.09. So it really I could have missed out on this entire run up, this entire ride that occurred over those 4 days. I would have missed out on if I was just trying to buy at the low instead. So it really is just about making sure that you're in there, that your money is tucked in, and you're secured with the equity. Now, on a monthly basis, you can see that the lowest was $9.13. So there was already an even bigger run up that I missed out on. I bought in at the low right here, but there was a low before that at $9.13. And I'm gonna pause the video real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry about that cut in the video. I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of a few things with Muffin, but I am back now, so let's continue on. So on the next chart we have the 3-month period. As you guys can see, that the lowest truly was around $8.91. Again, that was on the previous picture that we saw before. So this was the lowest point. They were higher, they went down, and then they went back up. And then on a 1-year chart, on the 9th of February, you can see that they were at the high of $74.68. So truly, you can't say that this would have been a bad time to buy a share of a firm, because then it would have went down to $9.13. And there's argument to say that, but the better argument to say is that instead of buying a share of a firm for $74, you could just buy a different share of a different company at that time and just wait for a firm to go down so you can buy more. Always buy low and sell high is the saying, but personally, it's really more so about buying low and then holding high, so that way you can buy more when it gets low again, and that's how you build a long term correctly. And then on a 5-year chart, you can see that a firm was at the highest of $164.23. So there's a lot of room for growth for my Affirm shares that I bought at $12.34. That there was no reason for me to worry about waiting to get it at $12.04 or $8.91 at the lowest. It's already considerably very low from this really high value price at the 5th of November. So it really doesn't matter about how much you're buying a share for. As long as you believe that you can see growth in the company, then you know that your finances are going to be safe. And lastly, I do want to point out that the Affirm company started trading on the 13th of January in 2021. So companies are added into the stock market that are available for public trading. They were around before this date, but they weren't publicly available for individuals to invest into. So that's essentially what this line and graph means and represents. They were valued at $49 when they initially came to the stock market. So like I was saying earlier, it's about buying low and then holding high. So buy low, hold high, and then if it gets too high for you to buy more, you just wait to buy and go buy something else that is low. And then you can come back later when it's low and buy more to keep riding and keep holding. That's the way that you want to build a long-term out. So now, what if I can't afford one share of a company? there's a lot of different companies that are honestly about the same price of a person's paycheck. I know before Shopify's stock split, the value share of a price for one single share of Shopify was going for at a minimum $1,400 per share. So the stock market essentially does these things called stock splits, where they'll split how many shares are available. Instead of having 4 shares of a company, they'll divide it by they'll multiply it by 2, and then there'll be 8 shares, and the price will also be divided by 2, so that way the value of the shares stay the same, so that way nobody is getting a money glitch, and it's just the amount of shares that are available that are making the prices easier for new investors to invest in. So the way they'll go around this is that some brokerages offer a way to purchase fractional shares. When you purchase a fractional share of a company, you're buying it in dollar value and not in share value. So that means that you could have less or more than one full share of a company. So with as little as $1, you can buy any stock, and that's very, very much true in different brokerages, because they'll offer that to their investors. The price of the amount of investing $1 in a firm is 0.06 shares. I'm not going to say the full number there, but the way you find this out is taking the current price of the share, dividing it by how much you want to invest, $1, and that's how many shares that you will get in return for that $1 purchase. Now, there are ways that you can invest more as well. You can choose to just go over the amount of the share price. If you want to have a specific amount to enter in, you can put 420.69 in, for example. You'll get $420 worth of shares. Now you can switch from between that that dollar value to a share value in case you don't like this method of investing. In case you like round full numbers like I do, you can click this corner up here where it says dollars. It'll show a drop down menu, and that drop down menu will pop up to be this, and it'll have 2 different sections right here that we're going to talk about today. We're going to ignore the conditional orders here and just go over these market orders. This is what we were doing, where we were showing the dollar value and talking about this section. Right here in buying shares is what I like to do and what I recommend for building a long term. So this is the menu that will pop up. Once you click on it, you can type in how many shares you want to buy. It'll show you the market price of the company that you're buying. At the time when I took the screenshot, it was $14.09. So it would cost me in total $14.09 to get 1 share. You can change the amount of shares as well, so that way you can buy more shares at any given time to make sure you get that same price for all the shares. So 2 shares was $28.18. And then you can even maximize this out to as many as you want. So 10, 1,000, a million, it does not matter. As long as you have the monetary value to buy the total cost, this order will be able to go through for you. So when is the right time to sell then? We already talked about buying. We already talked about holding. Let's talk about selling, because that is a very big question that you need to decide when you're going into this. The correct time to do it is obviously going to be just to stick to the goal line, 10 years or longer. That's the recommended time period for when you're building a long-term investment in the stock market. It's a life savings that can grow you more money. So that's essentially the bottom line, the bottom dollar. That's if you can hold this for 10 years, at that point it'll grow. It has done what it needed to do. You can sell then. That's up to you. I'm probably going to hold it for 10 years or more. I probably will hold this until I'm about 50 or 60 years old, because there's different things you can do with this. Essentially, once you build this up and you hold it for that long, you can use this as a credit line, proof of credit in the future for different business ventures or rent or anything like that. Anything you can imagine. There are different ways that you can use your financial investments to use it as a credit to your account. Now, the second option is to sell in case of an emergency. Things really do happen. Things can come up. I've had that experience last year that I had to sell out of my long term. So I did what I needed to do in order to make sure I can meet my bottom dollar, my bottom's end. And I'm just going to come back into making a long term. And that's what I'm doing in this video for you guys. I'm building a new long term account for you guys to follow along with. So like I said, it's really more so about if you need to, then you have to, but only just take what you need and then just leave the rest if you can. And then lastly, because the market is going down, that is the only time that I do not recommend selling shares of your long term, because there's a lot of different things that you can be missing out on and things that can change the entire aspect of your investment. The value of the shares are going down essentially in the market, and you see your savings are going down too, but you do not want to sell what you own. You just want to make sure you slowly buy or just not buy at all, and just wait for a lower price to buy more of. So that way, when it goes back up, you'll have more money than where you initially started at. Just do not give up your equity. And then lastly, the special option is to reinvest it. So like I was saying, you can use this as a credit line. You can use this you can pull out the money and sell it to buy a house if you want to start a business or anything you can imagine. It's just a way for you to use your finances to build more finances in the future, to play on a bigger playing field. And that's why most people call it a financial ladder to success, because these are the stepping stones to get to that level of economic growth in your own financial career. Okay, so let's summarize everything that we talked about in this presentation, because my voice is kind of getting a little hoarse, and I'm not trying to overcomplicate things for you guys. So let's say we have Luigi here. Let's say that's you and you're talking to your broker again. These are the things that you need to do to make sure you're doing things correctly for building your long term. Step 1, sign up for an individual brokerage account. I'm recommending Robinhood. Step 2, set up a direct deposit to the account with your employer. So when you make your direct deposit setups from your employer to your bank account, that's essentially the same thing you're going to be doing here, except in the payment elections, make 10% of that go to your brokerage account. So that would be a step 3. And then you can make 90% go to your main banking account. You can do whatever you want with your payment elections. Just make sure 10% of that at a minimum is going to your brokerage account. Then step 4, once you're inside your brokerage account, inside your Robinhood, make a watch list and call it your long term in your brokerage account. This is going to be a list of stocks that you want to invest in and pick from when it comes time for your direct deposit to hit. So like I showed you guys earlier, my watch list included Nvidia, Affirm, ASON, Shopify, Meta/Facebook. That is going to be your watch list. Step 5, like I said, it kind of in number 4 was to pick 2 to 5 stocks. That's the minimum amount I recommend when you're beginning. You can go up to 10 stocks, and that will lead to a more diverse, a more safe portfolio. But at a minimum, you just want 2 to 5 different stocks. And then number 6, with your first deposit, you're going to begin to buy shares of any of those 2 to 5 stocks. So with my first deposit, I chose 1 share of Affirm and then 1 share of Shopify. Probably on my next one, I am going to do most likely Nvidia, Meta, or ASON. Or maybe even Affirm again, because I've just been really liking them a lot. But as long as you're just buying shares of anything when your deposit hits, you're going to be growing that long term. And then step 7, wait for the next deposit. Step 8 is going to be to buy more shares of stocks from your long-term list again. So that's kind of repeating back to step 6. Then step 9, you just want to hold and forget. Honestly, that's the safest way to do it if you're doing this individually. If you're not having a broker do it for you, or like your 401k or for retirement, or a Roth or a IRA. The safest way that most people avoid missing out on their investments is to just hold and forget that they even bought it. If you buy and forget, that's the safest way to make sure that your money stays in and experiences all the growth that it can possibly do. And then step 10, repeat back to step 7, and then restart the entire process over and over and over again. And that's really it to just building a long-term savings. So now let's go over traps to avoid in the stock and when you're investing into a long term. There's plenty of different trap thoughts that a lot of people think about. These are some of the few that I've heard and experienced myself that have caused me to wait to investing into a long term. But all of these are completely avoidable if you follow the steps that was represented in this presentation. The main thing that I do want to point out of among these is this last one right here. Maybe I should consider paying for a class. There are a lot of people that sell this kind of information that I'm telling you about, and they will charge a high price for it when you can find information about this online for free. You probably learned this in high school for free. There's so many different ways to look over this information and find out yourself. You do not have to pay money for this. Do not buy this from anybody if you're comfortable with it. I personally will not sell this information myself, no matter how much money people throw at me, and no matter how many times people beg me to. I will not trade for you. I will not sell this for you. I will just give this to you and you do you. I'm gonna do me and I want you to do you, okay? And then lastly, most importantly, we need to talk about taxes and the IRS. So first, I need to say this disclaimer: I am not a tax professional. Seek professional assistance and advice on how to file to fit your needs best. I personally pay and use TurboTax to make sure I report correctly in case I make any mistakes in doing so. If you make any mistakes, you will also have to, of course, pay that to the IRS. And of course, with dealing with the IRS, there could lead to significant consequences if you do not. So always make sure that you are following these steps correctly, and you will be safe and secure. But again, I am not a tax professional. So here's a few reasons to why that this occurs in the stock market. This is a source of income that must be reported to the IRS, like all other sources of income are. If you make money, you have to report it. Now, the only way you can make money in the stock market is if you sell. So essentially what that means is, let's say I buy 5 shares of a firm and if I only bought it this year. If I haven't sold it at all, I never realize any profits at all. If I sell it 2 years from now, then 2 years from now, those profits that I made from those 5 shares will have to be reported to the IRS. But if I don't sell them this year, then next year's taxes, I do not have to report that information on the tax forms. It will not be reported by my brokerage. And that goes along with anything kind of dividends you receive, any kind of options trading, anytime you withdraw money from the account as well. So let's go back to that $56 deposit that I made in my long term. If I was to put that deposit in the account and then take it out, that would have to be reported to the IRS, because again, it's a source of income that wasn't initially reported from my employer, because it went straight into my brokerage account. I haven't actually received the money yet, but once it's withdrawn from the account, they don't know where it's going, so that means that it needs to be reported. This includes all forms of trades, like I said, so shares, options, futures, warrants, cryptocurrency, so think Bitcoin and Ethereum, Forex, and even bonds. All these different forms require your different reports to the IRS. Your brokerage will provide you with a 1099 form at the end of every tax year to report this information for you. So it's not going to be anything complicated. It's essentially the same thing as receiving a W-2 from your employer at the end of the year. It will take a little bit longer for these brokerages to get this 1099 form to you. For example, I already got my forms from my job. I got it at the very first week of the year in January. And I even got my W-2 from a different job I worked last week. So in the first month of January, I got those tax forms. But I'm still going to be waiting to get these tax forms from my brokerage as late as March, as middle of March, and as early as late of February. So it's going to take a while for me to get my tax reforms. So that's something that you do need to consider when you're investing in the stock market. So selling for a profit means you will owe money. If I invest $5 and I receive $500, I made $495 in profit. That means I need to be taxed on that $495. And then if I sell for a loss, then that means I can receive a tax deduction. So let's say I invested $500 and it went down to $100. I lost $400 of that $500, and that means that $400 can be used as a way to lower how much you owe for your taxes at the end of the year, which means you can get money back for your tax refunds. So there are good and bad things that can happen. Not really necessarily bad, I want to say, just consequences to different things that occur. So the next page is going to be about shameless self-plugging. I want to go ahead and just give you guys a few pieces of information here just for my own personal form of payment if you guys are interested. Like I said, I'm not selling this information to you guys, but since you guys are going to be signing up for a brokerage account, I might as well do some shameless self-plugging. So I will be sharing my referral link here with you guys. Just type this into your web browser, and then don't forget to type in my referral code here at the end of it. And what that will do for you is it'll refer you with the Robinhood referral program. And you guys can see all the information here. I won't be reading it out, but essentially we both will get up to $5 in shares when you sign up and link your bank account to your Robinhood. And you don't necessarily have to use Robinhood, but it is the easiest for investors, so I do recommend it the most, simply because it's not a lot of visual clutter, and they really do simply simplify a lot of what's going on in the stock market for you. And then lastly, I want to go over a few other book recommendations that my mentor, my stock market mentor, taught me and that I use to learn on how to make a budget and grow my financial career. The first book is The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. I didn't read the book. I actually used an audiobook that I found online. This will link you to that audiobook. You can always just type it in yourself in case you don't have this link. The Richest Man in Babylon is available on YouTube for free. It's basically up to 5 hours long, so you can go slow with it. Listen to an hour a day, and you'll get it done in no time. The second book is The Strangest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale. This one is a much shorter book, but it is honestly just incredibly valuable. It was a great listen. I highly recommend it. It teaches you a lot of different philosophical things and aspects on how to change your life. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to leave them down in the comment section at the bottom of this video. You can also just hit me up on Instagram, follow me at Demarian Long Term. This is the Instagram account that I will post my long-term investing and choices and explaining different things as to why I'm doing it. So if you have any questions about your long-term, you're more than welcome to add me on there. Direct message me and I'll be glad to give you my personal thoughts and opinions on things. Excuse me. And of course, I'll post bi-weekly updates, so that way if you guys want to follow along with my long term, you're more than welcome to do so. And as the final slide in this PowerPoint, I do want to say that I will be doing a options trading PowerPoint. This is the main thing that I use to make huge trades in the stock market. This is what I was initially telling people that I would teach them about, but I felt that doing a long-term savings lesson was way more important, because essentially options trading is very risky. Even though you see this huge amount of the money that I made in just one day, I turned about $300 or so, $500 into $1,200 in just one trade. It is a very profitable, very huge trades can be made. It's very lucrative, very fun, very exciting, but it's also very risky, because that same amount of money that I invested could also go down to zero. So you can and will lose all your money. Option trading is extremely volatile and not for the faint of heart. Do not risk your rent money when you're making these kind of trades. Only do option trading after you paid all your bills for the month, after you got everything you need taken care of, after you've invested in your long term. And just know that the reason for that is, again, because this money can go down to zero. I actually did lose all $1,200 of this that you see right here. I was trying to flip it into 10,000. Things didn't go so well. There was some news about World War III happening, etc. The stock market went down, and of course this went down as well. But the point I'm making is that anything can happen at any given time, at any given point. So always be sure to make sure that you're trading safely. And otherwise, that is going to be the end of this presentation. So please, again, let me know what you guys think. Hit me up with any questions. Let me know if there's any changes that you would recommend to different parts of this presentation, and I'll try to make those changes. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you have enjoyed it.